This is the Harley-Davidson Street 750, and according to the internet, this is the most hated Harley model ever. If you haven't paid any attention to this bike, you might be wondering why. When this bike came to the shop for a much needed tire change, I knew I just had to make a video about it and tell you what I think. This is a bike that I had some experience riding in its intended environment, and I'm going to give you my unbiased opinions. So if you are curious about this bike, then this is for you. Alrighty, just a quick heads up, I will not be riding this bike because I did not ask permission from the owner. However, I have ridden a couple of these bikes way before I even started my channel, so some of the things I'm about to say are based on how I remember this bike during those times. Also, if you have one of these bikes, I'll be teaching you how to remove the wheels on your own, so you don't have to spend a ton of money for servicing it at a dealership. Just keep watching the video for text I will be putting on the screen while I talk about this bike. Okay, so the Street 750 was Harley's attempt at capturing a much younger market back in the mid-2010s. It was designed to be an urban zipper that is easy to manhandle in traffic. It had enough power to be entertaining in its intended setting, affordable in a Harley way, and would serve as the gateway motorcycle for the brand's more premium offering. In terms of styling, I wasn't a big fan of it at first because, well, it looked kind of weird. A Harley that wasn't big and it has a radiator. Now these are weird, Harleys have always been known to be big V-twins and air-cooled. Now this is something you wouldn't expect from them, especially during those times, but the more I kept looking at it, the more it grew on me. It reminds me of two older Harley models, namely the V-Rod with its legendary Porsche design liquid-cooled V-twin, and it also has some styling cues from the short-lived but visually appealing 1970s Harley XLCR 1000. Personally, I do find the Street 750 better looking than its rival, the Kawasaki Vulcan 650S. What I am a big fan of this bike though is the ergonomics. Despite this being designed for a rider of a smaller stature like 5'1" or 5'7" in height, I find myself feeling really comfortable and in full control of this bike. The seat is low and the padding itself is pretty comfortable. The foot peg placement puts my legs in a comfortable right angle position, which I really like by the way. And reach to the stock handlebars is very easy, like a dirt bike. This rider triangle puts my back in an upright but relaxed position, and putting your feet on the ground is super easy with its ultra-low seat height. And the hand controls are easy to operate with those large buttons and switches. Also, I really like the kickstand on this bike. It's probably the best kickstand that Harley has ever made. In terms of engine performance, this bike was a blast to ride. It revs quickly and has a punchy low to mid-range pull that was entertaining in urban situations. It feels faster than a Stock Sportster 883 and doesn't feel as heavy even though they weigh almost the same. Now speaking of weight, the bike carries its center of mass low in the chassis and makes it feel planted. It's pretty agile for a cruiser too. This is like a common theme that I find in most Harleys. They look heavy, but they feel light once you get on them. The short wheelbase plus the tall suspension plus the very accommodating ergonomics makes this bike handle really well. The 17-inch front rim with the stock 100/80 tire feels light to steer, and that weird 15-inch tire at the back is surprisingly very well planted. So far, it's got everything that you want in an entry-level cruiser, or motorcycle in general. It looks like how a cruiser should be, has comfortable ergonomics, a punchy but manageable power delivery, and has some quirks making it a unique experience. But the best thing about it was the price. Alright. Honestly, it's not all praises, and this is the part where we talk about issues. While working on this bike, I discovered some things that really annoyed me, from small things to more serious stuff. Like, why is the ignition switch tucked under the speedometer in a very hard to reach way? And what's up with these badly tucked in spaghetti wires? The points of contact like the brake levers, switches, and other things you interact with feel so cheap. Now the steering on this bike right here is broken as expected. Not because of wear and tear, but the lack of grease and bad choice in neck bearings. This is a common issue with the street, as I have witnessed this many times when I used to hang out at a local Harley dealership. Also, considering this one hasn't been ridden that much, which I can tell by the dry rotted original tires we just replaced. Now about that, removing the wheels on this bike is a major pain in the ass even with the help of my assistant. The rear wheel especially. In order for us to get full access, I needed to remove the upper and lower belt guards on the left side. Then I have to remove the rear brake caliper, which is also hard to reach since the exhaust is in the way. And what's up with this 15-inch rim? Getting a tire that fits this bike was a lucky coincidence where I'm from. Good thing one of my suppliers had one in stock. Lastly, the foot peg position, especially the right one. It is lazily placed right beside the least insulated part of the exhaust. The last time I rode one of these, I burned my jeans and melted the soles of my shoe. Also, during that time, the demo unit I rode had a defective speedometer and faulty check engine light. But the worst thing that I see here is where the rear brake master cylinder is placed. It's constantly cooking by all that radiating heat from the exhaust. Having hot brake fluid in your system causes you to lose brakes, and that's a really bad thing. Now that's just my experience and observation for now. However, these build quality issues can be fixed with some DIY and some aftermarket parts. But as a bike from a premium brand, I expected a bit better. Now to answer the big question, why is this bike hated so much, especially in the Harley community? Now these are just my opinions, okay? This bike's undeserved hatred and demise comes from the somewhat divided Harley community itself. You can clearly see this when you visit any online Harley forum, people bashing each other. There's always this divide between model users, like Softail riders versus the Dyna Bros, Road Glide versus Street Glide riders, the Sportster models being attacked from all ends, but they all beat on the little Street 750 for being not a genuine Harley, because it's made somewhere and does not represent the Harley brand the way it is normally perceived. I'm sorry to say this, but I do find them hypocritical gatekeepers with some superiority complex issues. Haters from within who complain about Harleys being outdated and overpriced, but if you present something new and affordable, they pour out their disgust for a positive change and drive potential new owners away from the brand. They do represent a minority in the community though, but it just so happens that they're the loudest and are heard the most, just like your exhaust. Again, this is my observation, but I could be wrong and there could be more reasons why the Street 750 gets this treatment. Yes, the Street 750 has its flaws, but I do not think it deserves all the hate it gets. Sad to say, this bike and its roadster sibling, the Street Rod 750, are no longer in production. However, buying a pre-owned unit has never been better. A good condition unit can be had for a fraction of what it used to. Now, I strongly believe that the Street 750 was Harley's lost opportunity to getting new riders into the brand. Maybe a couple of refinements here and there, sell it at a reasonable price, and put out a very welcoming attitude to other markets, like maybe Southeast Asia or somewhere in Africa or South America. Maybe Harley, as a motorcycle company, would get more younger customers to stick with them and hopefully purchase their more premium models in the future. Now, should you buy one? Depends. I recommend that you see one for yourself and you be the judge. Consider this video as a before you buy guide, and I wish you well if you do get one. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Like and subscribe if you found this insightful, and leave a comment if you have something to add to this topic. As always, see you next time. Bye.